everyone. Sugar Cosmetics CEO Vinita Singh is joining us. Extremely talented Vinita. Hi, it's lovely to chat with you yet another time. So the budget is out. What were your expectations and how happy are you with the budget? Or if you're not happy, let our viewers know about that also.
Hi, Sakshi. I think this budget, because of the fact that it's an interim budget in a population in an election year, has been more of a 10-year report card of the government than any specific new initiatives rolled out, and it's quite understandable. And so, firstly, to comment on that 10-year report card, as an entrepreneur, have benefited a lot from how far India has come along in the last 10 years. I mean, the GDP has gone from 1.8 trillion to about 3.8 trillion at 7 to 8% growth every year. We are the fastest growing major economy in the world. And starting with that, and of course, the ease of doing business, GST, the convenience around faster tax refunds, the convenience around the production linked incentive schemes. I think there's been a lot of support from the government in making this growth in GDP happen. And as a woman, I think, there was a lot of conversation around Nari Shakti, both in the Republic Day as well as in today's budget announcement. And while in the organized workforce, the participation of women still continues to be a concern, I think the overall, including unorganized and including rural, the finance minister today shared that it's grown from 23% to 37%, which is because of a lot of initiatives by the government, including the Mudra Yojana, which went out for women entrepreneurs, including the project which was around making Lakpati Didis. I think a lot of these initiatives have led to women having a seat at the table. And I think, the continued focus on that is something that I'm pretty excited about, because even at Sugar, we employ about 75% women. And this is something that we care a lot about, because we don't think that the India's $5 trillion GDP aspiration can come true without enough participation of women in workforce. The other, obviously in the last 10 years, India has become the largest contributor of global digital transactions. Our e-commerce penetration in most categories is the highest ever. And there was continued, I think, the fact that the government has laid out about 11.11 lakh crore for infrastructure spend is going to eventually enable all of this, because logistics cost as a percentage will become cheaper. E-commerce will continue to grow over the next 5 years. So I think these are all really positive initiatives over the last 10 years, which the government has said that we will double down on. We will continue doing. We will continue taking Lakpati Didis from 1 crore to 3 crore. We will continue with the Mudra Yojanas. We will continue with infrastructure spends. And I think that's great. The part that I think everybody was also looking forward to would be, because it's an election year, some kind of tax cuts or, some kind of a special initiative that would, boost the economy, which hasn't come through as a startup. One of the things that we've been talking about for a while is ESOP taxation, which is getting around the whole ESOP taxation and having it only at the time of sale rather than at the where it is currently. I think that didn't come through. There was no conversation around the Startup India schemes that the government had, the fund of funds, and I think maybe that's something that we can look forward to in the next year. But overall, I would say, as far as the last 10 years are concerned and the report card the finance minister shared, I think there's been a lot of momentum. And I do think that the next 5 years would capitalize on that momentum and, make India, like the finance minister has said, a developed country by 2047.
Right.
The things that around startups that did not come through, I think I look forward to some of that coming through next year. One of the worry that a lot of entrepreneurs have is that the GDP growth, a lot of it is coming from the creamy layer and some of the upper middle class. the poor become poorer and unemployment rates are higher. But I think that also got addressed today by the finance minister, where she spoke about the fact that the multidimensionally poor percentage in the last 5 years has come down from 25% to 11.3%, and the unemployment rate has come down from 6% to 3.2%. So I think those again were very reassuring signs. So overall, I think I would say I am optimistic about what the conversation by the finance minister today implies. Although there weren't any major specific announcements, and it was more like a report card. I think at least we're talking about the right focus areas, which, as she shared today, is really around Garib, Mahilai, and Yuva and Annadata, which is the agricultural sector.
The major,
And
the
I think
central points
that's
were
right.
the Nari Shakti and the Yuva and the Annadata, as mentioned by her. But the main thing is that Nari Shakti, because as you also rightly mentioned, from the beginning of this year only, the main focus was to give Nari Shakti a proper push, be it the Republic Day celebration, be it the announcement, and in fact the speech that Prime Minister gave yesterday before the commencement of this session as well. Now this time around, if you were to talk about the special push, since you are a female entrepreneur, you're a young one as well.
Yeah.
How crucial was that specific announcement? And since we are just saying that abhi picture puri baki hai, this is maybe only the teaser. Let's see what the union budget is going to be looking like. Then if we were to talk about that aspect, that youth is going to get a proper push, then female, the Nari Shakti is going to get a proper push. How excited are you about those announcements? Because finally the female entrepreneurs are going to be recognized.
Yeah. No, I think it's very promising. The fact that she mentioned that 30 crore Mudra Yojanas have been given, loans have been given to women entrepreneurs, and the idea is to outlay more spends for Mudra Yojanas, and the fact that almost 1 crore Lakpati Didis have been created over the last year or so, and the idea is to take that number to 3 crore. I think those are very specific and very promising initiatives, because I really believe that women entrepreneurs employ more women. And that leads to them founding more companies, and that leads to a massive cascading effect on just the overall financial independence and empowerment of women, which is absolutely critical to India's mission of becoming a $5 trillion economy. And I feel that, although we have been speaking about it a lot over the last 31 days, there have been only two very specific schemes that were called out in today's announcement. But in the proper union budget that comes through, I'm hoping that there will be more such schemes and policies that will further promote the cause of more women entrepreneurs and more employment of women. I think, the fact that rural infrastructure has become better, agriculture has become more productive, that has led to women having more time to put into, the workforce, which is why the participation in rural India of women has really gone up in the last 5 years, which is really promising. But in organized workforce, that hasn't really happened. In COVID, it has been flat, the participation of women. In fact, it went down and then came back up again. And I think for that to happen, we need to put in more, maybe more access to women entrepreneurs across the spectrum, not just in rural India, but urban and rural India, will actually help us have enough participation in entrepreneurship from women as well.
Definitely, Vinita. Last but not the least, my last question is going to be, all right. So, government has already talked about the opportunities and how they are going to put the Nari Shakti on center stage. But as a CEO of a brand, as a female entrepreneur yourself, what kind of a push are you going to give to the female employees that are currently working, and for generating more opportunities for female around you as well?
Yeah. So, as a beauty brand, I think we end up getting a lot of participation of women, and we, as on date, have about 3,000 women who work at Sugar, and my ambition is to take this number to 10,000 women in the next 2 years. And I feel that a lot of these women that we employ are actually sole breadwinners and educated working women. End up raising families which end up doing much better in terms of education and future prospects, and which is why I feel that it is very important, not just for us, but for startups across the country and organizations to commit to numbers of what kind of women participation they will have,
Yeah.
because if you actually see in the organized workforce, this is less than 20%, and beauty brands have the opportunity to take it up to 50, 60, 70%, and which we're committing to in terms of the number of women employees we're going to have. But I feel that even in other sectors beyond that, which is technology, manufacturing, we need to strive to get it to about 30 to 40% at least participation of women in workforce.
Lovely. Lovely, Vinita. Thank you so much for chatting with CNN News 18 and putting your perspective across about the report card that Finance Minister has just presented as far as the expectations of the young entrepreneur goes. We love to have a chat again with you, hopefully when we get the union budget completely and when we see the entire picture, and we'll have a chat another time. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Sure. Thank you, Sakshi. Yeah, thanks.